This is the SuperCoach NRL official podcast, Round Preview with Tom Sangster and Rob Sutherland.
Hello, SuperCoaches, and welcome to our preview podcast. It is round 15, and we start with some pretty significant breaking SuperCoach news. This is from David Riccio, our Sharks aficionado, who has just been in the office today, and tells us that Teague Wilton only going to miss one more week with that AC joint injury. This means that CSC for Talakai, the fourth most purchased player this week, you'd be reversing trades on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's been really good. If he was going to get a couple more games, then yeah, but if we're looking at one more game, it's just not worth it. He's been really good, but that's been the problem with Wilton. There's just been so much uncertainty about how much longer might he be before he's back. If it's, a couple more weeks and that's it, and they've got to buy in that period as well. It's just not worth it.
Yep, I don't think it's worth it. They're saying back after the bye, so put a line through Talakai. But there's one big opportunity that I think has popped up in the last sort of 15 minutes or so. Pete Bedell, our man up in Brisbane, tells us that Corey Oates has been ruled out. This means there's a bit of a reshuffle, but Karapani comes in at centre for the Broncos. He's a cheapy option. He goes up in price after this round. So would you take him ahead of the other cheapy options this week?
Ahead of anyone else, yes. I think it depends whether you're in a, you need to generate some cash for your team, but he's the option, right? He's up playing his third game, he's bottom dollar, break even of -69. He's projected to go up by $90,000 this week. If you're going to get someone, it's probably him.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Lehigh Hopewadi as well, and we'll get to our cheapy section later on. So hang out for that. We've got a massive show coming up. First of all, I want to talk about trades because I came into this week saying there is no way I'm going to make a single trade. No chance. Now I've made two. I've got Cody Walker in, and I'm really leaning towards Lehigh Hopewadi as well.
I'm trying to save trades at the moment as well. I did the exact same thing a couple of weeks ago before the first big buy. I kind of went, I'm good, I'm not making any trades, and I made 3 that week.
It's just so tempting.
I'm seeing all these people saying, they've got 19 trades left or something, and I'm sitting here going, I've got 15. I need to save. It's an addiction. I need help.
Yeah, I need help too. What have you got for us?
Just want a message to Des Hasler, really. A thank you, I guess.
A thank you to Des Hasler.
Thank you, Des Hasler, so much for putting Jaden Campbell back into the halves this week. And thank you so much for, I presume, instructing him not to give David Fifita the ball.
Yeah.
Because it was a solid strategy. The Titans, for the last couple of months, they've been going okay. They've won some, they've lost some, all by less than 1 to 4 points. But don't give the ball to the best second rower in the game and get pumped by 46 points. Masterstroke, Des. Thank you.
Thank you. A bit of a backhanded thank you there for Des. The thing is, Fifita is a really popular captaincy option this week, and playing the West Tigers, but this situation could spike it.
Well, every time Jaden Campbell got the ball, he either dummied to Fifita and then ran himself, or he drew the defenders and then passed off to Fifita when he was 1 metre away from him. So actually brought the defenders to Fifita and gave him no run-up as a platform for anything. I was screaming at the television. It was infuriating.
Look, I tell you what, you do not want to see. He might seem like quite mild-mannered here, but when Dave Campbell blows up, it really happens. Speaking of blow-ups and sob stories, I think you got another one for us as well.
Just a shout out to the poor SuperCoach who VC'd Latrell Mitchell. Latrell obviously went on, got 150 points. So this SuperCoach thought, I'm going the captaincy loophole. He threw the captain armband on Joe Chan and did not realise he was a late inclusion for the Storm. So he ended up captaining Joe Chan's 20 points instead of getting the VC loophole of 150 with Latrell. And you would have been gutted to have opened the app the next morning and seen that.
I own Joe Chan, and for that reason, I find it really hard to do the loophole. So I'm a straight C kind of guy now. So even this week, when you've got some decent options like Fafita and Latrell, who I own, I still think it's going to be C only. Your VC has to go really well to use the loophole if you've got Joe Chan in your team.
Yeah, but hopefully you don't captain him for the loophole.
Exactly. You got anything else for us? You said you've got 3 things.
Oh, the last thing, it's a thank you.
The preparation that you put in
the
is
last,
sensational.
The last thing is a thank you. Just a thank you to Cameron Ciraldo for not playing Samuel Hughes any more minutes in a week where 3, not 1, not 2, 3 of his forwards go down, including Curran, the guy who directly replaces Sam Hughes when he comes off the field. Like, what is the guy got to do to get more minutes? Well, surely that's the perfect storm, and he still only played 35 minutes.
Well, the issue is that Ciraldo seems to have this idea where he plays a prop just for the first, let's say, 15, 20 minutes, and then that's it. That's them done for the day. They just take the heat out of the game, and then that's it. He lets the other guys, the footballers, I guess, the locks who like play in the front row, take over the game. That was it kind of fell apart a little bit with all the injuries on the weekend. So Sam Hughes did come back on, but I think if there are no injuries in that Bulldogs pack, we're only looking at Hughes playing 15 or 20 minutes.
But he still kind of came back on at the time he normally has been. Yeah. That was the thing. It was just, I don't know, it just blew my mind. Just as soon as when Hayward got HIA'd out early, you kind of thought, oh yeah, we'll see what happens. But then when Curran went down, you thought, surely this is Sam Hughes' time to jag some extra minutes. And then when Preston went down as well, it was, I don't know what the guy needs to do. He put Max King back on, and King looked gassed. He was struggling, and you've got Sam Hughes fresh on the bench. I just don't get it.
Make sure you subscribe to our podcast via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and send through your questions as well. We've got a heap coming through on Facebook. What have you got for us?
Travis looking at trading out Drinkwater, and he's thinking of bringing James Tedesco in. What do you think of that? Obviously, Origin teams announced after this round. Would you be bringing Teddy in?
Well, I wouldn't be doing it this week, that's for sure, because you've got... just wait until Sunday. Teams get announced on Sunday. The Queensland team gets announced officially on Monday, but Pete Bedell has the team list on Sunday. So look at the Courier Mail or Code Sports website. You will get the Maroons team before anyone else. Wait, because it's going to be Dylan Edwards or Tedesco, right?
Yeah.
One of them is going to be a great buy for next week, and we've got no idea who it's going to be quite yet.
Yeah. Stephen says, I'm looking very professional.
I did see that.
He'd buy a used car off me. That would be a mistake, Stephen. I wouldn't do that. Michael's liking Ronaldo Militalo. He reckons 134 points and the captaincy this week.
You know what? I don't absolutely hate it, because the game tonight is at Shark Park. It's freezing cold. It's going to be windy. It's the sort of weather that the Sharks actually seem to thrive on, and the Dolphins probably aren't quite as used to. I don't hate it at all. I also like Nico Hines as a straight C at Shark Park. He averages 95 at Shark Park, and no one is captaining him. Yeah,
Ronaldo's my one trade this week at the moment. I think his price has bottomed out from where he was a month or so ago. And the Sharks, their run home is amazing. We'll talk about that a bit later, but I think it's Multalo time.
Well, let's do burning issues right now from tonight's game. As I mentioned, it's pretty cold in Sydney, windy. The conditions do seem to suit the Sharks, even though it doesn't really suit rugby league. For some reason, they just love those sorts of conditions. 13 degrees it's going to be at kickoff. And the wind will be whipping off Botany Bay right through Shark Park, and it will be freezing cold. Even Buzz Rothfield, who was in the office before, said, nah, it might be a little bit cold, I won't go tonight.
Oh, well, if Buzz isn't going.
If Buzz is not going, the crowd's not going to be big.
Yeah.
I've mentioned Nico, but a lot of people are looking to sell or asking whether they should sell Kyle Ero. What are your thoughts on him? I've got him sort of locked in as a borderline keeper. He's got that bye next week, so I wouldn't make the decision this round. Make it next week. But I'm leaning towards holding.
his base is solid and consistent, which is great. He's a good kind of fifth centre option. But the Sharks draw that we just mentioned before is insane. Their run home is Dolphins, Bulldogs, Titans, Tigers, Cowboys, Rabbitohs, Titans again, Knights, Dragons, Warriors, Manly. Of all of those teams, they have the Dolphins and Bulldogs next. They're the only two teams in that run home that are currently sitting in the top 8.
Right.
Like, that is nuts. That is a crazy, crazy draw. If anything, you should be working out plans to load up on a few more Sharks, because surely it's just points bonanza for that run home. Ero has been banging out solid base without any tries. Surely he jags some then, and we're actually, instead of seeing consistent 50s, 60s, we're jumping up into the 80s.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and it's a great point on his draw as well. And the base, like, he's just so consistent.
Yeah, and not to mention
consistent position.
The Sharks play around 17 and 19. You know, so they're 17 is one of the mini buys, round 19 is one of the major buys. So there's buy coverage there as well. I can't see selling him.
Yeah, I feel like Euro's just scratched the surface of what he can do. Once he gets those attacking stats, we'll be getting even bigger scores, and his scores now are still quite good.
Yeah.
Time for Trey Fuller as the 10th most sold is a little bit surprising for me, given that he covers next round, which is a big buy round.
Well, the Dolphins play the rest of the buys. It's not even next buy round. They play 16-17 and 19-20.
Yeah.
So the two big buys where you'd think Hammer's out because he's in the Origin squad, Trey Fuller's straight in, and if Bennett is looking to rest them coming out of the back end of the Origin series, he may get extra games there as well. He's a sell, but I don't know if I'd be selling him until after round 19.
Yeah, I think if you've got him, you hold for these big buy rounds. People are probably a little bit turned off by that concussion, and it was pretty bad a couple of weeks ago, but hopefully he's rested up following that. It is time for Tab's Best Bets of the Week, brought to you by the Tab's NRL Same Game Multi. Build smarter same game multis using stats and insights. Download the Tab app today. Now, I've got probably the lowest... The easiest bet, the lowest paying bet that we've had ever on this show. Your man Ronaldo Mulatalo to score a try, into the Sharks to win, paying $2. I'm just going to guarantee a bit of a payday.
Is that all that's
it? Yeah.
That's wild. Well, you know, from one extreme to the other.
Oh, here we go. This is like a Rob Sutherland bet.
It is, yeah. I've targeted the Melbourne Warriors match. Melbourne are actually the outsiders in this, which is madness to me.
Yeah, that is
First
strange.
versus 10th, I just don't understand that. But so I've got Melbourne to win, but then every single player I have in that game, I've put down to score a try. So that's So that's Adam Fanua-Blake, Harry Grant, Eli Katoa, and Jerome Hughes to all score tries. And that's paying $251.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that is a Rob Sutherland special.
That's pretty wild. And, of course, the only place to place that bet is on the Tab app. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on screen or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. It is Cheapy Bible time. I mentioned him at the top of the show. Lehigh Hopewate. I'm kind of into it. At the start of the week, I was like, definitely not, because I don't want to clog my fullback position with cheapies. I want all keepers there. But fullback is not what it was, particularly with guys out through Origin and injured at the moment. The break-even is -63, predicted rise of 84k. Job security is pretty good. There's even some chat that when Turbo comes back, he plays centre and Hopewadi stays at fullback. There's a lot to like here. Buy schedule's pretty good. I said that I wouldn't trade this week, but Hopewadi is jumping out at the page at me.
I don't mind it. I think it really is dependent on the status of the individual's team. But all those things you just mentioned, there's a lot to like there. And, you know, I think buy coverage important as well there. From a Manly perspective, it's good. And, I mean, they play the Dragons this week at Four Pines.
Yeah.
It could be a big score.
just on the Dragons, I haven't told you this story yet, but I was in a corporate box at the Bulldogs v Dragons game a couple of weeks ago, and if you've ever been in a corporate box at Accor Stadium, it's right next to the coach's box, and the walls are paper thin, so you could pretty much hear everything that Flanagan was saying, and the Dragons got belted in that game, and there were some seriously good blow-ups.
Was that the game? It was the following game, wasn't it? After that, where he gave them absolutely massive all-time spray at half-time, and then they came out and won after that.
Oh, no, it definitely wasn't that because it was actually kind of even at half-time, and then the second half ended up conceding 40-odd points to the Dogs. Can you tell us anything he was saying, or not? Not for the G-rated? No, not for this show. But there were some really loud blow-ups. It was sensational. On to CC for Talakai. We mentioned him at the top of the show. If you missed it, the breaking news is that Teague Wilton is back next game. That's after the bye, which means Talakai won't stay starting, which means Talakai is no longer a purchase. Put your line through him. Matt Fianai is pretty popular this week. You're a Dragons fan.
I don't see it.
Like, Jack Bird's out, so, job security's okay.
There's better cheapies though, right? Like when we're talking about Lehigh, Hopewadi or Karapani at the Broncos, surely they're the better options there.
Yeah, Karapani with the news today. Again, if you missed it at the top of the show, he's playing this week with Corey Oates out, Selwyn Cobbo goes to win. He's in at centre. Questions? What have we got?
Lots of questions. You mentioned Nico as a potential straight captain.
Yeah.
Jack saying surely Edwards is the straight captain.
Look, if I owned both of Nico Hines and Dylan Edwards, and I have sold both of them, I'd be going VC on Nico and then the C on Edwards in the final game of the round. That just makes sense.
Fair enough. Dean is predicting if Lomax knocks out another 170, you'll be getting a tattoo of Lomax.
Will I? Interesting.
I'd pay to see that. No?
Oh, he's saying I will be doing that, or is he asking will I do that?
No, he's saying
I will.
It's locked in.
Just guaranteed.
It's locked in, yeah. Nathan is asking, is Wishart a buy? He's looked good, hasn't he?
I don't hate it. He has looked really good, particularly on the weekend. The issue they've got Pappenhausen back pretty soon. He'll cut into a little bit of the ball playing. Plus, you've got Cody Walker, who is a proven SuperCoach player over many, many years, who's not that much more expensive. So for me, it's Cody, but I can see why people are going Wishart.
Yeah. Luke said Armstrong to Lomax.
Yeah, for a head-to-head player, definitely. I think it's a good move. The issue with Lomax, he's got a tough bye schedule coming up with the Origin, plus the games that the Dragons actually play are really tough too. So I'm predicting a little bit of a dip from Lomax. Head-to-head player, maybe. Overall, definitely not.
Yeah. Ben saying he wouldn't even play Api Coruscant this week. Obviously, he's been named in the halves.
Yeah, like if you've got cover somewhere else, then yeah, that makes sense. Right, no-go zone. This is the popular player that you don't think should be so high on the list. I'll start with you.
Oh, it's Cody Walker for me. I can see why people are doing it. The price is good. The break-even's negative. The last couple of weeks he scored close to a ton and then a ton. But I've been burnt so many times over the past few years by it. He's on my never again list. I got it, and it's a stone tablet, and I've etched it into rock.
He's been on and off my never again list plenty of times, but he's actually into my team this week. Just at that price and with the buy schedule, etc., I think he's actually a really good purchase. My no-go is Zach Lomax. Very popular this week, but he's got Origin coming up, plus a whole run of really bad games. So I am predicting him to come back to the pack a little bit over the next few weeks.
Fair enough.
Captains. First of all, we got David Fafita, 25%, playing the West Tigers, which is good, but it is at Leichhardt Oval, where the Tigers can sometimes grow a bit of a leg.
Oh, I don't mind. I think that's a safe captain. I like it. But like we said at the top of the show, like, he needs to be given more ball. Like, he's the premium front rower in the game, and the fact that he touched the ball so little last week was concerning. don't know if I'd captain him outright given that, but he's still solid.
Latrell Mitchell at 11%. So this is of the top 10% of Supercoaches. These stats, you can get those on Supercoach Plus, which is, $24.95. You can get a whole bunch of good stats there. Latrell Mitchell is 11% captained, but he is not a particularly popular player. So pretty much everyone who owns Latrell has got the C on it. I own him. I think I'm just obliged to do it just because he's playing for an Origin spot. He'll be fired up. It's a game at home for him, but against the Broncos, who it's not the best matchup ever, but I still think Latrell can go well against anyone when he's motivated, and if he's motivated for a club game, it's this week playing for an Origin spot.
They play early though, right? They're Friday night.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it, but I think you can also
VC.
Have a look at him with the VC and hedge your bets there. Yeah,
they are the third game of the round, and then you've got Fafita coming after that.
Yep.
So the wise move would be to VC Latrell and captain Fafita, but I hate the VC loophole, so I'm just going to go straight C.
Fair enough.
Latrell. Yeah, we mentioned it before with Dylan Edwards at 9%. If you own him, you probably lock him in pending any news in late mail.
Yeah, I mean, he's the consistency he's shown all year he's punching out hundreds for fun, essentially. Like, it's ridiculous.
VC, what are you thinking? Fafita's really popular.
Yeah, I like Fafita as a VC. I'm going to go Latrell as a VC this week. My captain this week, I'm actually going to chuck it on Garrick against the Dragons, which is why I've been trying to convince you to go to the game and watch it, because the last two games you've gone to, the Dragons got pumped by 60 plus on Anzac Day, and then that Bulldogs game you just mentioned. So if you could go to this game, it'd really help my Garrett captain.
When you first mentioned that to me earlier in the week, I thought you were actually inviting me to go to the football.
I mean, I am.
Just like, no, I want you to go on your own, stand in the wind and the cold at Brookvale Oval, and just watch the Dragons get smashed.
I'm definitely inviting you. I just don't plan to go.
Well, if anyone wants to go to Brookvale Oval with me on, Friday night, then I'll be there. Questions to the end of the show.
Jeffrey is looking at Latrell in for Drinkwater this week. Do you like that, or do you think wait for Origin? Wait for the Origin.
It depends if you're head-to-head or overall. There's so much upside if Latrell does miss Origin. It's just, his schedule is sensational. But, I bought him in last week. That was the time to get Latrell. I probably wouldn't be getting on this round. And then wait till next week. We could have guys like Latrell, if he misses Origin. Plus you've got Dylan Edwards and Tedesco, basically sort of, let's say, a 50-50 call. One of those will be a good buy for Supercoach next week.
Yeah, definitely. Dan's looking at Dane Gagai as a cash grab soon.
Oh, look, every year he kills it. And every year he is a pod. It doesn't make any sense. I can't quite fit him in, given how red hot that centre wing position is. But I couldn't talk anyone out of it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Although he's got the bye coming up in next week.
True. Dan has dropped Hazleton. Had him all season until he started leaking cash.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, he just scored, has 2 games without a try, and then suddenly he drops.
I don't know about that. Like we talked about the shark straw that's coming up. It's pretty good. I mean, and if you were lucky enough to jump on Hazleton at the start, he's obviously had a great season. If you don't trade him, you don't lose cash.
Yeah, that's true, but I'd probably try and cash him out. Surely he can't keep scoring that many tries.
I know, but there's players we say that about every year, and then they keep on keeping on.
Like Adam Fanua-Blake, for example.
Garrick for captain, yes, I'm on. Love it. I brought in Harry Grant this week. Been trying to get him all year. What do you think?
It's a strange week to bring him in, to be honest, with Origin coming up. He does have a really good record of backing up, which suits him, but still, if you don't own him, I'd be waiting until around, 2021.
Yeah. Shane, trying to work out his last reserve. He's looking at Falongo or Iro.
I'd be tempted by Iro just because of the base.
Falongo,
we were talking
Vida Wars.
Vida Wars. It's over there. Interesting to see what the weather is. He is in my 17. I'll basically have to pick him this week.
Yeah.
Base stats aren't sensational, but he is one of these guys that could bang out a ton pretty easily, and it would be full mostly of attacking stats.
Yep. Ryan's asking, is Preston a sell?
Yeah, I think he is. So the latest on him
I think he is, but the time frame was weird. It was like an awkward time. It wasn't so big that you're like definite sell, but it wasn't so short that you're like, oh, I'll keep him.
So it's come down. So originally they thought it was a fractured ankle, which is like 6 weeks at least. Then it got confirmed as some sort of foot injury, and it's 2 to 4 weeks, they think. But still won't cover that big buy, which is what you need him for.
Essentially,
so I think he is a sell.
If you're holding him for round 16, right? Which is obviously a week away now.
Yeah, and he's not going to play.
And he's not going to play that.
Yep.
Maddie's looking at Dom Young for his VC.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big upside guy, and that's what you need for VC, so why not?
Well, I like doing that with VC. Yeah. Zagging while everyone else zigs. It's a chance to just, throw a bit of a smoky VC out there, and if it comes off, then you've got a captain that no one else is going to have.
And they've got the Eels, who were far improved last week with Mitchell Moses back into that team. But let's face it, it hasn't been a good year for them, so it's a decent matchup.
Yeah, but by the same token, the Eels and the Bulldogs were just going try for try. So the Eels looked better in attack, but it didn't necessarily mean much for their defence.
Well, that is it for our preview podcast, round 15. Good luck on the weekend. Big thanks to Dave Campbell. We'll catch you next week for the Live React Teams podcast on Tuesday. See you there.